Card check, yeah.
Whoa. All right, let's crack into card chat today, Phil. Interesting question here that I've got for you. Basketball's high priority at the Olympics right now. I'm loving it. Like McDonald's. Loving my food going through. Loving all the sport that's been coming forward. But would you buy Olympic cards? Firstly, like if they came up of great moments through the Olympics, 92 Dream Team, the 96 Dream Team 2, then the 2000 team that lost, and then the Redeem team. Would you buy those cards?
Or did 2001, 2004 got bronze, and 2008 was the Redeem team? Is that how it went?
Oh, yeah.
No, the first thing I actually want to highlight is,
Mm.
I mean, you're shamelessly plugging McDonald's.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna go down that route, I'd say I'm a BK guy. Double barbecue bacon cheeseburger with extra barbecue sauce on the burger. That's where I'm at.
I'm
Delicious.
a Burger Fuel. I like more aioli and I like the chips. So Burger Fuel, if you're listening and you want to come sponsor us from New Zealand, we'd love to have you.
No, that's
New
actually a
Zealand.
good shout. I thought we were just sticking with the traditionals, but Burger Fuel, absolutely delicious. They do the best kumara fries. Just
Oh,
putting it
yeah.
out there.
Yeah. I bury myself in Cooper Frost. But anyway, really get back to basketball cards. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Going off on a segue.
So your chat, yes, basketball cards for maybe not even just the Olympics, but international. I think that would be quite cool. You know, my question for you is, because of how licensing from like an autograph point of view works, you've got lots of athletes that have signed with Fanatics. So we're not seeing any of the autos in the Panini cards that are out on the market at the moment. So depending on which company, whether it's Panini or Fanatics, actually end up getting the license, yeah, it'd be awesome to see those cards. Like who would you prefer? Because there's obviously these exclusive players that have signed with Panini. I guess like the Currys, Steph Curry, and a lot of those vets have signed. I don't know if they've officially signed with Panini or if they're at least just doing autos for them. But would that limit their ability to, sign potential international cards?
Or would it only apply to the NBA? Because they've taken their likeness and their signature for the NBA, yes, but the international is a different thing. The only sort of issue that might come into it, and why I mentioned the Olympics, is the Olympics, right? They're greedy. They are. They don't pay the athletes any money, and the athletes want to get paid. So, to the IOC out there, if you ever listen to this, you're just greedy. Pay the athletes, or at least pay back to the federations that they represent. All these athletes around the world, a lot of them are doing it, being amateurs, working 2-3 jobs in some cases. I think it was the American synchronized swim team got sponsored by Flavor Flav.
Oh yeah, he ended up. That's right. He ended up having quite sort of the affinity for one of the swimmers, one of the athletes, and ended up sponsoring them out of his pocket just because he thought that they were awesome. Was it synchronized swimming or was it water polo?
Oh, they're the same thing, aren't they?
No, but we're way off topic.
Yeah, sorry, back to basketball cards.
Just to take it even further off topic, though, you've got whether it's Olympic cards or just straight up FIBA International. And then to throw a different angle in there as well, from a breaking point of view, I guess you would do it per country and you'd have America, presumably, maybe even France because they have Wemby, but you'd have America as equivalent of the Spurs, right? The really expensive team to buy because they've got all of the stars. So taking America out of it, probably I'm even going to say take France out of it. Which country would you purchase so that you had the chance at getting a particular player or players? And I think I know who you're going to say, but I'm just going to let you.
Do you remember the movie Highlander, There Can Be Only One? It would be the Tall Blacks. That would be the only team I'd be going for. I wouldn't go for any other team. I'd want to see my New Zealand autographs and things like that. They've got more value to me. I wouldn't be looking to make a value, wouldn't look at making money from them. I would look at collecting them as a sort of like holistic homage to New Zealand. That'd be the reason why I'd get them. Yeah.
If we were talking about repping various gear, I mean, we've said this before, a Tall Blacks singlet and a Tall Blacks cap, maybe even a hoodie, would definitely not go astray. But if we're
Yep.
talking, I'm going to back you into a corner. 2024 Olympics, those are the only teams that you're allowed to look at.
Oh,
New Zealand didn't qualify, unfortunately. Who would you pick?
I'd probably go with Greece for Giannis.
Oh, really? Not Slovenia? You don't want to go after some Lucas?
No, I think as much as I like Luca, I think international Giannis is a different beast, and he is a man on a mission. Like that's one thing I appreciate about him. Watched this documentary, right, and I thought his documentary was amazing about his life and how much how much he went through, and he ended up basically being able to fund his family and fund his life through basketball, and starting it through a guy paying attention to him playing basketball with his brother at a training court in Greece. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad shout. I would probably go Deutschland,
Okay. All right.
International Schröder and International Wagner. Those guys, they go hard. So I quite like them. There's so many different teams that have got this smatterings of players on all the different teams that I'm quite fond of.
Canada,
Um, yeah,
SBA.
Canada. Oh, yeah, there are some good players there, but I just out of principle, I just don't think I could support Canada. Maybe Serbia, get a joker. I saw some stats again. We're slightly off topic from cards, but how much difference having Joker on the court makes for that Serbian team is just absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, I'd probably be keen to shout out Waterpool, Jag a Joker for
Yep.
the Waterpool listeners out there. That'd be pretty sick. Even maybe even throw an Aussie. The Boomers. It feels dirty saying that, but there's a couple of decent guys on that team. They seem like they're good sorts as well. So shout out the Boomers. I mean, we have to represent that Southern
Yep.
Hemisphere, Oceania region, and Aussies it. Oi, oi,
Yeah,
oi.
true. Getting a dual up Breath would be quite cool. I quite like him as a player. He's a trailblazer, and
I was
I'd
gonna
be going
say.
for that. Would have been keen on Matisse Thybulle as well, but it didn't make the cut in the end. Dante Exum would be quite cool as well. They've got a pretty good team, old Aussie. They've got some players that have a lot of potential to start moving up. But one thing I'd like to see is like variants of cards, right? How cool would it be if they melted down a part of the gold medal, silver medal, or bronze medal and put that on the card?
Like a stamp. I
Mm-hmm.
remember they used to do those I think still got some of those cards in the 90s. There was kind of like this little wee stamp in the corner. What
Yeah.
I actually thought you were potentially going to go in the direction of, but since you haven't, I will. The very rare cards, I don't think they do them anymore, but it's the one where you look at it one way and the player has their NBA jersey on, and then you
Mm-hmm.
look at it the other way and they're in their country's jersey. I
Like a
think that,
hologram
yeah, like
hologram
how
card.
I can't remember what they're called, but that would be quite cool. Obviously, that's when you run into licensing issues. So if Panini didn't have the license, then we wouldn't be able to do that.
Maybe in their street clothes, or maybe in their uniform, the full tracksuit before game, after game. When you do that, you're like, ooh, tracksuit's gone.
Or yeah, or like them sitting on the bench versus them playing. Unfortunately, the Jason Tatum card would just be him sitting on the bench and him sitting on the bench.
Joel Embiid, sad face.
I'm still gobsmacked that a guy who just won the NBA championship was the heir apparent in the 2020 Olympics, playing with Kevin Durant, was one of the players that was subjected to a DNP. Like to me, it just doesn't make sense.
This next Olympics is the same with Jalen Brown not being on the court, or not even being at the Olympics, right? Two of your best players in the NBA aren't even getting court time. But again, comes into coaching, right?
Which
Fits the
auto would you
systems
have of those two? Which auto on which card would you get them on?
of the DNP edition. Maybe it has that. So I got
No, no, no.
DNPs
Well,
in
the
the bottom.
DNP versus the just that didn't get selected. No, Brown versus Tatum. Who would you want?
Oh, I I have to say, initially I was Tatum, but Brown's growing on me more and more, and I've got a few Jalen Browns now, and I'm starting to invest more and more in him just because I think he still has room to get better, and I think Tatum might just be at the peak of his powers.
Which is albeit pretty high.
Yeah, pretty high.
I would take Tatum. I still like him more so than Brown, but I do agree Brown has massively grown on me. Yeah, so Tatum auto, I'd like to have him in a I mean, it's easy to say National Treasures or Immaculate or, one of those real, high-end
Oh,
cards, but it,
logo man? Is that the logo man?
yeah, look at me. I'm not going to pay 30 grand for one, that's for sure. I would probably go on the lower end market. I just love Obsidian, so I'll just say Obsidian, like a nice auto of him on an Obsidian.
Yeah.
Particular parallel, whether it was just like a one of one would be pretty cool. One of one, him auto.
Blank
That
slate. I'd like a
that'd be
blank
pretty cool.
slate, Jalen Brown.
Or a blank slate Tatum, even whether it's the white one from last year or the black one from this year. They're cool. They are a very nice card. Yeah, shout out Court Kings. I still can't get enough of their cards. They are very nice.
So many good variants. So, like, for you, what was the better one, the white blank slate or the black blank slate?
White. I'm gonna go white. The black card's cool, but the white really just it popped a lot more. And the way they had the gold Court Kings and they kind of the way they sort of framed it definitely made it more artworky, right? You know how white can a lot of white space can
Yeah,
really make whatever's sitting in front of it stand out. I mean, so can black, but I just feel like yeah, the the,
yeah.
the white just did look cooler.
Well, John, that's a good little move there. We're talking about Court Kings. I felt this year's took a step backwards compared with the last couple of years. The artistry in motion, in particular, like I quite like the previous
100%.
artistry in motions, and then they change. But with the blank slates and spot on mention, I agree with you with the white blank slate. It looked too similar to the rookies three. That with the black blank slate and the rookies three. When I think I saw a Scoot rookies three, and I was like, oh, is that a blank slate? And then I went in and I was like, oh, it's a rookies three, and I was a bit dark on it, and I was like, well, how's this better? But I also found the rookies four was a bit of a letdown. I saw a Grady Dick
Just about to
pop
say the
up.
level four was yeah.
It looked like a better version of the level one.
I thought the
Just
I thought the level two looked cool
oh
with the blue, the red, and the yellow. That looked really neat.
yeah,
But yeah,
that's hard to beat. Yeah.
I did think the four. You know what? For me, this is going to be. It's difficult doing this in audio only, but for those people that are familiar with Court Kings, this year's level four looks eerily similar to either last year or the year before's Modern Stroke. Oh no, Brush Strokes.
Oh yeah,
So I've got
yeah.
some brush strokes cards where it's, there's literally got looks like paintbrush strokes with the various different colors in the background with the player sort of sitting in front. And that looks very similar to the level four this year with kind of this swirly sort of color in the background. But back to your other point, the artistry in motion last year looked really, really neat. Had a bit of Van Gogh sort of vibes to it, I thought, with the swirling colors in the background. They
Yeah.
did look, yeah, they were probably brighter rather than sort of the pastel vibe. But that's one of my favorite cards actually. I've got just a Lamelo Ball artistry in motion, and it's not numbered, so it's not necessarily of great value. But this is probably a good segue. What to sleeve, what to top load, what to one touch. I
Mm,
straight up one touched my Mellow artistry in motion, but I think it looks really neat. And it needs to be
mm.
framed type thing. So for you, do you only top load in one touch autos or numbered cards, or just you've got certain players? I can imagine with your 160 million scoots, you wouldn't be one touching all of them. Although, challenge, you want to.
Yeah, I've one touched all 100 now. I one touch like decent autos there that I like. Like I've one touched my Malice in the Palace collection that I've got at the moment. So I put them in, and that was one other variant of Court Kings as well that I wasn't a big fan on was the autos this year. I just didn't think they were good. But also I would one touch like a really decent auto. Like I saw that one touch of Tyler Hero. I would have one touched that for a decent rookie. But in terms of like the numbered cards, I one touch the of tens, but then I'll top load pretty much everything else unless it's like a rookies three or rookies four. But the rookies two, I've top loaded all those rookies two, top loaded all the rookies one, haven't top loaded much else though. So yeah, like Court Kings, man, like I think the amount of variance that they've got this year, like obviously you want to, I think, top load the acetates because the acetates are like, I'm worried about them breaking because they look so cool as well. And they're such a basic card. And you've got some from Keegan Murray's year, eh? We've got a Keegan Murray acetate. Very jealous Because yeah, I do have him as one of my PC guys as well. But yeah, it's I think as well though, you one touch the autos of the players that you like and the players that you love, right? Like I've got a Keegan Murray Prism. It's nothing great, but it's a Keegan Murray Prism auto. So I've one touched that because I'm waiting for him to go big and blow up.
Probably another thing to add is we've touched on it before, but getting PSA graded or BGS is so much more expensive in New Zealand. So if you want to really protect your cards, a one touch is a really good option. Not that we're sponsored, but Kmart has I think five one touches for $20. Just the 35 point though. So Court Kings it'll work with, but if you want to have your Obsidians or your
Noirs.
Noirs, yes, or I was going to say Origins, or any of those cards that are 55 point or thicker, you're going to have to go somewhere else to get one touches for them, but definitely worthwhile doing because I just think they look better in a one touch versus a top loader anyway. You get more of the shine. I feel like the top loaders take away a lot of the shiny look. Like all of my Obsidians I've basically top loaded because I just think that whether it's a base card or not, I just really like the look of them. But I'd like to take them out of the top load every now and then to just get a really good perv at them, just to really see the shine. And I think they're really neat.
I saw this real cool setup the other day on the socials, and as we are going to be moving to YouTube, we can pop these little examples up soon. Phil, I'm excited. This chap had a singlet, and then he had 4 or 5 cards in like a clear perspex glass, and then behind it he had those LED lights showing up behind it to like illuminate it. And I was like, damn. So like if you were gonna invest, money was no object for your cards. Hey, won't tell our wives, but hey, maybe that it is no object. If you were going to set up a display, what sort of thing would you go with? Would you chuck all of the cards together? Would you make a wall? How would you go about it?
Some really creative ways of doing it. I wonder if the app that keeps on giving and doesn't stop giving, Pinterest,
Oh
from a
yeah.
creative point of view, I wonder if they've got some ideas on that. I'll have to check it out because, from DIY point of view, they're great. I learned how to build some planter boxes out of free heat treated pellet wood on
Yep.
Pinterest. So, shout that out for the veggie garden. I would definitely like to have some LED strips backlit with a bunch of cards. It'd be neat to have some way of making them look like they're floating. That would be quite cool. So,
Yeah.
if it was, even if they were, I mean, how do I word it? If there was, you had like a frame that had little wee nodules that poked out that were magnetic or something like that, where you could stick the one touch onto, so you could
Mm.
actually lift it off easily, and then you just had like a whole series of them that you could have them all sitting there. So there was like six in a row or like five in a row, whatever it was, and
And
then
you
you
could
just had
rotate them.
yeah, and you could rotate them all around, and they were all had this nice LED like backlit top lit. That would be quite a cool way of displaying it. You could have it either mounted on the wall or sitting in like a bookshelf or something like that. That could be quite cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or like the jewelry display cases as well. I reckon that'd be quite cool. Like just having that, but then that would take a little bit of time to put together. But I love the little LED lights that you can get now and pop them in the background. I saw one real cool one at a store the other day, and it had full backlit against the wall, and it was just like a flat LED light that went across a whole section of a jewelry display, and it had it there, and I'm like, I'd like to use that for cards. Just thinking that in the back of my mind, going, that would be dope.
Yeah, jewelry case would be quite cool, but probably for the common man, very impractical.
Oh yeah,
So
we're gonna be Pinterest boys, I think, with this.
yeah, see what Pinterest has got on to say for themselves. There's lots of creative people out there. It's a great way to get started, especially if you're like, I've got an idea, I'm not sure where to go with it, and you type in some random keywords, and they'll take you down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple of ways to look at it. It's creative and cost effective. If you're going to create something like that, you don't want to be spending thousands of dollars, right? You want to be spending tens of dollars. And hey, if you can get away with building something awesome for, say, $50 max, then I think that's the way. Maybe that's a challenge we could set for ourselves, Phil, putting it
Not
out there.
bad. I had thought about doing it from pallet wood because in New Zealand, I don't know about you, but where I live, there's basically all the businesses that get goods delivered have pallets that they just basically leave on the side of the road, and you're allowed to go around and pick them up. Just a little bit of an educational piece out there for anyone's interested in making their own garden bed. You want to look for a pallet that has the word or the phrase like HT sort of imprinted onto the side rather than MB. So HT stands for heat treated and MB stands for methyl bromide. So you don't want to have anything in a pallet board garden box that has been treated with methyl bromide because that's poisonous. So heat treated, you could get one of those, and I feel like, get a bit of a lick of paint from your local Bunnings or Mitre 10, and you could put together a sweet little display case. And it's definitely doable if you've got a bit of time. But Jimmy, I don't know about you, but we've both got a couple of kids. Time is not necessarily of the essence. However, I'm sure there are lots of garage sales going on around the joint and
Oh,
lots of people
yeah.
that are looking to flick things off super cheap. Trade Me might even have something up there. You can get creative with how we sort of reuse, recycle, what do they call it? Upcycle?
Upcycle.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we can do it, man. I think we set ourselves a little bit of a challenge over the next couple of months to see what we can come up with that's creative and fun.
Who can make the coolest display case?
Yeah, vote now. Well, that's Can't Chat for another week. Brought to you by Waterpool, waterpool.com.au. Make sure you jump on today. We've also got a code that you can go through, B-Ball Edition 10. Make sure there to have a look on our socials and follow for any updates or any updates on deals. Also, you can message us on Instagram.
Basketball edition _ WMSA.
Or WMSA_podcast. All roads lead to Rome, and we'll get back in touch with you. Otherwise, enjoy
All
your
roads lead
week.
to Rome. Don't include that in the search.
Yeah, that would be kind of funny though if it all did. You'd be like, "How did I get to Italy?" Like, well, you drove on the road. But otherwise, we'll see you again next week. Phil, it's always a pleasure, mate.
Never a chore. Cherry.
Cheerio. Thank you for listening to the Basketball Edition podcast. Please make sure to follow us on our socials, basketball_edition_WMSA. And if you are wanting to have a chat with us, please send us a message and we'll get back in touch with you. Make sure to follow us on Apple, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube, all good podcasting streaming channels. Thank you.